This is going to sound a little weird, but I think we need to have more empathy for police officers. Now, I know that could be a little weird to say because when you turn on the news, you only hear bad things about the police. And don't get me wrong, the police do a lot of bad things that deserve to be called out. And a lot of people need to go to jail. More people need to go to jail. But in order to have change, you have to have empathy for anything. And cops are a very, very tough job. It's a very, very hard job, especially for the reason you just mentioned. Because traffic cops are the most frequent. And as you said, they're the most dangerous because there's no information. So in order for that to happen, you need to have empathy, and I think a big thing that helps is body cameras. Now, I'm sure there's clips of me, even my stupid wrestling podcast from like 7 years ago. This me and Ricky off on a rant talking about how I don't like body cameras on cops, but I think it has its problems. But overall, I think it's been wonders and done more more good than harm because it protects everybody involved in the situation, and it keeps everybody on their guard. Now, I do think it makes a cop's job harder because they have Big Brother watching them, and it is hard because it makes a stressful situation a little more stressful, but it's the most fair thing that can happen at any situation, body cam footage. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. And I mean, when I started policing, like we didn't have cell phones, anything like that, right? So it was like the Wild West. And we didn't even have cameras in the booking halls. And then I remember they brought cameras in the booking halls, and everybody thought like, oh man, that's the end of policing as we know it. And it wasn't. And then people had cell phones and individual cell phones, and with all the security cameras and things. And I remember, like as a parading sergeant, saying to my officers, assume you're being filmed all the time, whether it's just by somebody's home security camera that they're never ever going to watch, or you go to some function and, right away, everybody's got their cell phones out, right? You pull a car over, people stop and they got their cell phones out. So, look good and sound good, right? So I think that the body cam is just the next step up from that. And again, I remember when they started with the body cams, and our association, which is kind of like the union, was saying, no, you can't do that. But it's great because it shows everything. I mean, they've got them in the cars. So if, you've got somebody in the car who makes allegations, if it's a person who's in custody, it's right there on the camera. Same thing with the body camera. Everything is filmed. The audio is on. And really, I think in this day and age, with this generation of officers, they're so used to being filmed all the time, they probably don't even notice. Right?
You know what? They probably don't, because that brings me to my next point. Hey, man, crooked cop gonna crooked, right? They'll still find a way. They don't care, right? And they don't care because they know they can still sometimes get away with it. Like I saw a video not too long ago. This cop, pulled someone over, like they say smelled something in the car, and on their body cam footage, they were seen placing the drugs in the car. It's just like, well, idiot, you're being recorded.
Exactly.
But even with the body cam footage, they sometimes turn it off. They say, oh, it malfunctions. So crooked cop gonna crooked. So, I think it reduces it, but they're gonna find a way, man. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we look at is if an officer said, well, I didn't turn the camera on. I mean, when they first started the program, it's like, okay, well, that's a training issue.
Yep.
Now everybody's been trained. Right. So don't be telling me that, the camera malfunctioned. Did it? Great. Let's take it. We'll take it to the tech people and let's get it fixed. Right. I mean, crooked's going to crooked, but, and you're always going to have that, bad seed somewhere, but this makes it a lot harder. And I think it makes it a lot better for the officers who have been accused of things. Right. They say like, no, here's the footage right here.
Yep.
Boom. We're done.
It works both ways.
And I think it's much better. And just, never mind for discipline reasons, just for functionality, for doing statements, like you've got your camera on, the person can just start telling you what happened. Right. Before, they still write it down in the memo books, but you have this like tiny little pad that you're holding in your hand and this crappy little pen that doesn't work when it's wet or cold or whatever, trying to get a verbatim statement from a victim or a witness. It's on the body cam. It's great.
Right. Now, this is a technical question, but when they have the body cams, and it's being recorded, where is it stored? Like the actual, like, because if they have like the camera on them, do they have a, like, what's the storage capacity? Where is it stored? Is it actually from the camera fed to the station and it's stored there? Because if you're on the patrol and you have a little camera and it just sometimes it can max out, right? I know how big video files can get. This one's gonna be like 12 gigabytes, right? So how does the actual storage and actual recording of the body cam actually work? Do you know?
I don't actually know that, but I know that we have never had a body cam that's maxed out yet. Right. So I think it just goes right directly to a main sort of a main board and gets stored right away, I think.